Hello and welcome to another live episode of the Leveraging AI podcast, the podcast that shares practical, ethical ways to use AI to improve efficiency, grow your business, and advance your career. Welcome to the first live session of 2025. I am really excited. We've been off from the live sessions for the past 2 weeks because it was end of the year and I was on vacation, and hopefully everybody else was as well. And so we're finally back, and I have a very special episode for you today. And one of the things that I probably still get asked the most is how to get started. What are the use cases? What can we do with this? How can we implement this in our business? And many people are still struggling with what can they even do with AI in their business. And this is what inspired this session, which is we're going to go over 25 AI use cases, actually more, because a lot of them will have like small sub use cases and variations of them, but 25 big things that you can do with AI in your business. The list that I have of things that I do with my clients and that I teach in my courses are probably 2 or 3 times as long, and maybe even more than that. But we're going to start with key 25 use cases. And my challenge for myself is to cover all of them in 25 minutes. Now, first of all, we're doing this live, so we have a lot of people on LinkedIn, and we have even more people on Zoom today. So if you're not here and you're listening to this while you are driving or doing the dishes or mowing the yard or walking the dog, whatever it is that you're doing, know that we do this almost every single Thursday, unless I'm traveling, speaking at an event or something, almost every single Thursday at noon Eastern time. And you can come and join us, and then you can ask questions and be a part of the conversation as well. And so what we are going to do is we're going to get started in a second. I will share my screen. Those of you who are, again, driving and cannot watch this, you can listen. I'm going to explain everything that's on the screen, but those of you who are with me will be able to see my screen as well. And what we are going to review today is several different things. As I mentioned, we're going to start with those 25 use cases in 25 minutes. And then we're going to stop the clock, because I am on the clock to do this in 25 minutes. And I'm going to show you tools, all the tools that are relevant to this presentation, as well as it will talk a little bit about the tools that I use from the variety of tools that exist out there that we're going to talk about. And then once we are done with the tools, I will open this to Q&A. Now, because I'll be running very, very fast, I will say that you can take notes, be ready to take a lot of notes, because this is going to happen really, really quickly. So the first thing that maybe the most underestimated use case of AI is brainstorming. You can use AI to assist you to come up with new ideas. You can use it to develop existing ideas. You can use it to hear multiple opinions when you're considering different options for different things that you want to do in your business. Anything from tactical things like coming up with new campaigns, all the way to strategic decisions on how to run the business, how to deal with different situations, and so on. You can do this in multiple different ways. You can use voice, your actual own voice, in both Gemini and ChatGPT. You can upload reference documents that will explain about your company, and then you can have a conversation with it, just brainstorming ideas. And because you can use voice, you can do this while you're driving or while you're doing other things. You can also share your screen, literally anything on your screen, with both ChatGPT and Gemini, and then you can have a conversation about more stuff than just documents that you can upload to these tools. You can build custom GPTs, so mini automations that will play roles of specific people. This could be known people, or this could be just made up personas, but somebody that will play the devil's advocate on you on marketing, somebody that will represent whatever roles that you don't have right now. And these, when I say this could be known people, you can have Jim Collins. You can have the book Traction as a consultant that can help you solve things through the Traction and EOS framework. So you can build these people and use them in order to help you with the brainstorming. And you can even build multiple personas and then use these multiple personas in a conversation between themselves in a GPT to help you discuss different things that you want to do. So basically have your own private advisory board of anybody that you want with any personas that you want. Search and synthesis. We all need to search for data. Sometimes it's small stuff, sometimes it's big stuff, sometimes it's strategic, but we all need to search for data. We used to do this in Google, but now you can do this across many other tools. The basic stuff, you can do it in ChatGPT. The benefit of doing it in ChatGPT is that it's a part of a conversation that you're having with it, and then it has the context of exactly what you're doing, so it can help you a little more. But the tools I go to the most, the first one is Perplexity. I use Perplexity all the time. I use it way more than I use Google, and this is what I probably go to most of the time. I also use deep search. So to do deep research, I usually go to u.com. U.com actually gives itself 6, 7, 8 different things it needs to research based on the question that you wrote. It then reviews 60 to 150 different websites and give you a very detailed report. So it takes longer than Perplexity, but it gives you much more detailed reports. And now you can do almost the same thing with Gemini Deep Search that just costs money. So u.com is free. Gemini Deep Search is on the paid version of the Gemini version. Both of them are very good to do deeper research. Data summarization. So now you have data. Either you got a document, you got a proposal, you got a RFP, you found articles that are interesting to you, and you want to summarize them, but you don't want to just summarize it. You want to summarize it in a way to find the data that you want in it. So these tools are very good at that, and it can even do it in the format that you want. So you can use any large language model to do that. If you have really large amount of data, the best one to do this is Gemini. Gemini 1.5 Pro has 2 million tokens, meaning 1.5 million words-ish, which is a lot of books. So you can upload a lot of data and have it summarize it to your needs based on your specific format, if you give it the format that you want it at. And you can also do data summarization with Perplexity, as well as with NotebookLM, which is an amazing tool that can summarize the data, give you a Q&A document, answer questions about it, and even create a little podcast from it. We're going to see an example afterwards. Now that you have the information, you want to share the information. So you did a great summary about a specific topic, and you want to be able to share it with your team, share it with your company, share it with your future self, stuff that you want to review later on. And I want to give you a couple of examples. So one of the first things that I love doing is Perplexity allows you to actually take what you created in Perplexity, so basically the questions you ask it and reviewed, and turn it into a web page. So this particular web page is artificial intelligence courses for business leaders. And it has an introduction, many courses about generative AI are available, and then it gives you a list of courses. Guess who's number one? Multiply AI Generative AI Business Transformation course, my course. But then you have courses from IBM and MIT and Harvard Business Review and a lot of other respectable places. And then it shows examples and reasons why my course is the right course to take. This is a web page that is available online that I can share with anyone. Another great example is NotebookLM. So NotebookLM has a podcast feature, and I will change my share. So I'm sharing the sound as well. And this is a podcast that was created by NotebookLM based on this web page that I just showed you.
What AI is. I think at this point, we all get the basics, right?
Yeah, most people have heard of it at least.
Exactly. But this article goes deeper. It lists out all these AI courses specifically for executives, like people running companies and making the big decisions.
I see. So it's about how to actually use AI, not just what it is.
Exactly. And it even gets into...
So this is a 23-minute podcast that was created by me just uploading this article that Perplexity created for me. So now I can share the article with people, and I can also share the podcast with people, and people can decide how they want to consume that content. But it gives me very amazing way to share content with people. And as I mentioned as well with my future self, if I want to go back and reference different things. Image generation, that's one is pretty obvious, but you can generate images. I still know a lot of companies who spend hours looking for the right images for a specific campaign, whether it's an email or a blog post or a social media post or production of any kind of sorts, and they're still paying for stock image directories. And there's absolutely no reason to do that anymore, because you can create any image that you want. All the images that are in this presentation and any presentation that I gave in the past 2 years come from me generating these images with these tools. And the other cool thing that you can use them from is you can use them for product inspiration. You can use them for marketing inspiration. So as a starting point and not as an ending point for something that you will eventually produce professionally. And you can also use them in video generation tools as a starting point for the videos. So stop paying for any stock images and start using this. Video generation. As I mentioned, I will touch on the tools to do all these things later on at the end of these 25 minutes. Video generation. Video is the best way to engage with an audience and create emotion and so on. It also allows you, if you know how to do this, to be very creative and create really unique things. The problem with video is that it costs a hell of a lot of money to do a video production. And the reality is, right now, you can create videos like the ones you're seeing on the screen in seconds or in minutes. And to do that, all you need to know is which tools you need to go to, and you can prompt them, and you can start with a starting image and then move from there. And you can use these videos for training, for marketing, for briefing, for education, for fun, for creative expression, and so on. There's multiple ways to use AI videos, and I'll give you some more examples on how you can use videos. So let's go to the next use case, which is personalized video messaging. So let's say I want to send personalized messaging to people. And so I'll give you an example. let's say I'm doing an event or I'm doing something. So the first video is this.
Hey, Toby, I'm what you might call Isar's digital twin.
So this one calls to Toby. The next one calls to...
Hey, Jared, I'm what you might call
Now, those of you who are not watching this, you can see an avatar of me talking. Now, this avatar can also call their company name, open their website, open their LinkedIn profile, relates to each and every one of those things as a personal message. But all I had to do is type in what I wanted it to say and upload the CSV with the details of all the other stuff. You can use these kind of things for event promotion, for trade show follow-ups, for holiday greetings for people, and so on, while not having to even record the video once. It's all done by my avatar, and all I have to do is provide a CSV file with the personalized details, and it will generate all these videos for me, and I don't have to worry about it, and it can then be sent via email to each and every one of the people on the list. Quantitative data analysis. One of the things that you can do that is absolutely magical is take raw data and turn it into a detailed report that has graph charts, explanations, and so on. To do this, you follow the following process. You take an Excel file that you have today, you turn it into a cleaner CSV. The way you turn it into a CSV is you remove all the gaps and all the spaces and all the additional tables that are out there and make it very basic formatting and consistent formatting about every column, and then save that tab as a CSV. You then upload it to ChatGPT. The largest file that I tested was 1.1 million rows of data. There is no other tool that I know that can even open that file. And then you ask ChatGPT about the data. You use ChatGPT to clean the data further and add whatever columns you need in order to make more of it. Then you can do a detailed analysis just by asking ChatGPT in simple English the things you want to know. It can generate graphs, charts, and detailed analysis of each and every one of the things you want to see. You can then refine it with ChatGPT. Basically, go back and change your prompt and ask about specific charts, or refine the charts, or refine the explanation that ChatGPT gave you. And then you can use Word or Google Doc or something like that to generate the final report, convert it to a PDF, and you can send it. This process used to take days for a group of people, and now you can do it on your own in half an hour to an hour and a half, depending how big the data is. It's absolute magic. But the real magic actually comes from qualitative data analysis, because we had the ability to do quantitative data analysis before with Excel and dashboards and so on. But qualitative data is something we couldn't analyze before. Unstructured data was always problematic. So I want to give you an example. Let's say you are selling products on Amazon. People write reviews, or this could be your customer service tickets that you have open and so on, any unstructured data that you're getting. And so you can take that and use a tool like Clay to scrape the data to bring it into a CSV. On the CSV file, you can now upload it to ChatGPT just like we did before, but ChatGPT understands what people actually write, and it can decide and help you decide which buckets you want to put it into to help you write the report, create an analysis, and move it afterwards into a Google Doc or a PDF so you can share it with other people. But you can actually do more than that. You can use a tool like OpenRouter. OpenRouter is a tool that allows you to bring multiple large language models through an API into whatever you want. I have it connected to Google Sheets, and so I can bring any large language model into Google Sheets. You can obviously do exactly the same thing with Excel, which means I can do the analysis within Excel and Google Sheets itself without moving into ChatGPT, which gives me a lot more flexibility of what I can do. And I can do this for qualitative data analysis and for quantitative data analysis. Having AI assist me in data analysis, extremely powerful across almost every aspect of the business. Mapping business processes. Basically, every company on the planet has these processes that Jane or Jim or Joe knows how to do, but nobody else does. And in some cases, these are critical aspects of the business. The problem is that A, other people can help them or replace them, whether, God forbid, they get hit by a truck or they just take a vacation. And it's also not good for onboarding, because when you want to onboard new people, then you need to stop that other person to explain to them what the process is. The problem was that mapping business processes was hard, and now it's actually really easy. All you have to do is to let the people who do the process as they're doing it, not stop and doing what they're doing. As you're doing, just record yourself, record the screen, and narrate what you're doing. If it's not in front of a screen, you're doing it in a warehouse, hold your phone up, click record, and explain exactly what you're doing. You can take that and with the right prompts, turn it into a checklist with any large language model. And then you can take the checklist and the recording or the transcription they're recording, load it to Claude, and Claude knows how to create flowcharts, very detailed flowcharts. And those flowcharts actually generate a code that then you can upload to tools like Lucidchart and Mermaid to finesse those flowcharts. And they can upload all of that information into your task management tool like Monday or Jira or Asana or ClickUp or whatever it is that you're using, and have all of those components, the actual checklist and the pieces of the video and the flow chart as part of the task. So if you bring a new person from the street that's never been trained, they can know exactly what to do and how to do it and what's the flow and who touches it. Very powerful capability to mapping business processes. And then you can use that as a starting point for AI automation because you have the process mapped very well. Internal training and onboarding. So now that you have the processes mapped and you want to help people start the process and give them training, you can use AI to do that. You can help employees feel more welcome when they're starting. You can reduce errors. You can do ongoing training for company. You can reduce the burden on the team when they have to train new people because now they have to train them less because they can be trained by that, which means you have happier employees, both the old ones and the new ones. And you can achieve that through chatbots. There are now multiple tools that can do that, or even internal GPTs and custom GPTs. You can use voice agents so people can actually have a conversation and ask with their own voice about everything they want. And you can create onboard videos with avatars with tools like HeyGen and so on. Product training and onboarding. I'll show you a quick video.
All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling D-tools, specifically figuring out which D-tool software is the right fit or cloud.
Yeah, that's the question, right?
For sure. And we've got a ton of resources to help us break it down. Product descriptions, tours.
So for those of you who are not watching, but just listening, what this includes is it's a very beautiful video, high resolution of a guy and a girl talking about different pieces of software and how to pick between them for a specific company. They used to do this through a sales calls every time, which obviously is very time consuming. The way this was created, it's created with, I uploaded their website and their documents and YouTube videos into Notebook-LM. In Notebook-LM, I created a podcast. I took the podcast, loaded it to Descript, which we're going to give you all these tools afterwards. Don't worry about it. And then Descript to HeyGen to create the avatars, to say the things that were said by the podcast, and then back to Descript to edit it all together. The whole process took me about 40 minutes to create a highly detailed, high fidelity video of people talking about and explaining exactly how to pick one software from the other in support of potential clients. That's stuff that used to take weeks to do and used to cost tens of thousands of dollars of video time and people and so on. Creating product videos. So one of the problems with creating videos with the regular AI tools, like the regular tools that create videos, is that things morph. It's very hard to create videos of specific things, but there's a workaround using a tool like HeyGen. If you create an avatar of yourself holding the product, in this particular case, baby clothing, it looks okay and looks perfectly the same when you recreate the avatar. So here's an example.
Hi, mums. I would like to share with you why I love Gerber's baby clothing. First.
So again, for those of you not watching, there's a young mom holding a Gerber baby clothing, standing next to a crib, holding it in her hands and showing it and explaining why she likes it. But the very cool thing is once I have the avatar, I can do this.
Hola, mamás. Me gustaría compartir con ustedes por qué amo la ropa para bebés de Gerber. Primero.
So same mom, same avatar. She can speak any language that I want, still keeping the product intact and looking perfect just like it looks in real life. So I can create videos and have her say anything I want in any language in seconds, while I only had to shoot her to train the avatar once. And I can do this across multiple types of people and multiple types of products.
Hola, mamás. Me gustaría.
Presentation creation. So all of us needs to create presentations regardless of what we do in the business. Sometimes it's for reporting, sometimes it's for sales and so on. Now, to do presentations, you first of all need ideation. You need to figure out what the presentation exactly is going to be about. You need to create an outline. You need to define what's actually going to be in the slides and the speaker notes and so on. You need to think about what needs to be the images for each slide, and you need to create the actual images. Now, you can do that with ChatGPT. I've done this multiple times, but now I'm actually using a better tool that is called Hunch. And what you're going to see on the screen is this crazy flowchart that is actually built of multiple AI tools. But all I have to do in this flowchart is here on the left is enter the target audience, the presentation type, the presentation goals, the general topics that I want to touch. And then what it does, it actually sends you to 4 different AI tools that create an outline. The 4 outlines go to OpenAI O1, which is a thinking model, to pick the best out of the 4. Then it goes to Claude to actually create the actual presentation, and it creates the headline and the bullet points and the speaker notes. So as you can see in my slides, there's very little text on them, but I have a lot of speaker notes to know what I want to say. And so it creates all of that for the entire presentation. Then it creates suggestions for what should be the graphics for each slide. So it gives me 3 different options, and I pick down here, literally in an input thing. In slide 1, I like option 1, slide 2, I like option 2, and so on. This then goes and writes a very detailed prompt for an image generator to generate the images for each and every one of the slides. And then it generates the slides in 3 different image generation engines. So you can see it does it in Flux, and it does it in ideogram, and it does it on Stable Diffusion. Each and every one of them give me options. I pick the right ones, put it all together, and then it exports it into a PPTX file, and then I have the presentation to be used afterwards. So in literally just giving the input, I can create a stunning presentation in minutes instead of hours, and I can do this for any topic in the world. The next thing is AI content repurposing. We all generate one type of content, but we want to be able to share that content across multiple things. So as an example, podcast to social carousel. I have this GPT that is a custom GPT that all I have to do is drop in the transcription of my podcast, but this could be a summary of a business meeting, and then it creates a carousel that I can share on LinkedIn. So how does it look like on LinkedIn? It looks something like this. And if I scroll down, you can see a very fancy LinkedIn thing with multiple pages, but the content of all of this, other than the images, was created by this one click. All I had to do is upload the transcription, and it generates the content for me. And you can see this thing got 6,000 views almost, and 40 people touched on it, 23 people commented, generates great content with almost 0 effort. The next thing that I want to show you is podcast to blog post. Again, this one is in Hunch. So I'm taking whatever input, putting it into Hunch. On the left, what I have is I also have keywords, and I have SEO best practices, and I have an example of what the output can look like. And it goes through multiple steps, including outline and checking itself and so on, and creating a SEO optimized blog post, as well as creating the images for the blog posts in multiple AI tools that I can pick the right images that will fit the theme of what I am trying to say. But all of that, all I have to do is literally drop in the transcription or any other input that I have to create an SEO optimized blog post for my website. So next use case, creating dashboards. Almost every tool you use has a dashboard. So if we want to, so you're telling me, okay, I don't need dashboards. But the cool thing is sometimes you want to create dashboards that are unique, that are a little different than the dashboards that you have today. So in Claude, as an example, Claude knows how to create dashboards like the one I'm showing you on the screen right now. This dashboard was custom made for a specific need, for a specific department. And all I have to do is drop in a CSV file into it every time I want to use it, and it will recreate the dashboard. And you can see right now I have a drop-down menu to see all retailers, Walmart, Target, and so on. When I click on that, it actually changes the graphics on the bottom. I can see year-over-year comparison. I can see a retail breakdown. I can do all these kind of things. And this dashboard was created by Claude. Another example from Claude is this, and this one actually does something even cooler. Similar approach. All I have to do is drop in a CSV file, but then when I run it, what it does, it actually on the bottom, like there's a lot of graphs and charts, but on the bottom, it actually gives me advice on what to do with the different accounts based on rules of thumb, based on the probability that I've set for that particular opportunity and the day in the quarter that it happens. It's going to suggest what I should probably do with that opportunity. So you can create really cool dashboards on the fly for anything that you need that just don't exist out of the box in tools that we have today. Meeting summarization and sharing. Not a lot to add, but if you're not using a meeting summarization tool, you're missing out. I'm using Fathom for every single meeting that I'm doing. And what I'm getting is I'm getting a detailed summary with links to the video. So whenever it writes something in the summary, I can click on that and it will take me to that point in the video to get the context of what was said. I also get a detailed transcription and I get a chat where I can ask any question about the meeting. It literally changed the way I have meetings and the way I review meetings and the way I share meetings with people that I work with. By the way, this thing gets shared to your CRM, your email, whatever you want with simple integrations. Event planning. So human connections are going to become a lot more important in the AI era. They're already important right now. But when everybody can do everything really well because AI does it for them, what's going to differentiate companies is human connections. And running events is going to be a big part of that. But running events is a pain in the behind to set up. AI can help you understand your target audience, can help you understand what topics will attract them to join your event, can do the research for you on finding speakers, on finding the venue, on finding different catering options if you're doing it in person. It can help you plan a detailed agenda, and it can help you create the marketing, posts, emails, videos, and personalized video, as I showed you before, all to do more events with a lot less effort. So again, this effort used to take 2 to 3 people, 3 to 4 weeks, and now a single person can do it in 2 hours. So you can do more events and connect with more people. Hook generation. Like we create a lot of content, and for that content, we want to create hooks because that's the first thing people read. People are going to read the first sentence that you're going to say, whether it's a subject line of an email or the first sentence on LinkedIn and so on. And to do this, what I do is I created a GPT. In that GPT, all I have to do is I have to drop in a post that I've written, and what it is going to create, it is going to create a hook for me that I can use. And I don't have a good example right now, I apologize, but literally what it does is when I drop in that link, when I drop in the content, it will give me, out of a list of hundreds of different types of hooks that I have, the 3 hook suggestions that are most relevant to the content that I created, and I can use it or a combination of them or as just as an idea to post and get more engagement to my post, more clicks, more opens, and so on. Managing your inbox. People spend on average 650 hours per year, 13 hours per week on their email. 28% out of that, based on the latest research, comes on managing the inbox, looking for specific emails, looking for information, tagging, archiving, and so on. And you can do both these things with external AI support. You can use Zapier Central to build automation around it. And we've talked a lot about this in episode 103 with Valeria Pilkevich. And you can also use Gemini or Copilot to do this within your inbox itself. And we talked about this in episode 126 of the podcast, and you can go and listen to those as well. But managing your inbox is a huge thing that you can do with AI. SEO. So SEO may change dramatically because people are going to search Perplexity and going to have voice conversation, and agents are going to go to our website. But in the very short future, in the near future, you can do amazing things with it. So you can identify keywords, you can generate list of secondary keywords based on keywords you've already identified. You can get topics to and content ideas, brainstorming, as we said in the beginning, with a group of people that are SEO experts that don't really exist. They're all AI. You can automate the draft content writing. So keyword selection, SEO best practices, sources, as I showed you that I'm doing with Hunch in this particular case, but you can do it with other tools as well. And if you remember the article that I showed you in the beginning that I created in Perplexity about my course, comparing it to other courses, this is a backlink from Perplexity, a large volume, highly known website that links back to my website. So you can build multiple of these and get multiple links linking back to your site from reputable sources. Lots of great SEO stuff. Internal chatbots you can use for almost anything. You can use internal chatbots for onboarding, training, employee benefits, employee handbook, product information for your product team, for your sales team, marketing resources for your marketing team. So you don't have to look back through 15 different folders. You literally ask for the blue color you're using in your logo, and it will tell you anything like that. Historical financial information for the finance department. Any side of the company can have a chatbot to help them find information quickly. Lead capture and lead nurturing. You can run a company without many things, but not without clients, because if you don't have clients, you don't have a company. And what I want to show you is I'm using a tool called Clay. And again, I'm going to share all the tools afterwards. What Clay does for me in this particular case, and I use it for multiple things, is it grabs information about everybody that engages with my content on LinkedIn. So you can see first name, last name, the LinkedIn post that I've written, whether they commented, and if they have commented, what they commented on. And then I do all these filtering with Clay to find out where they're from in the world. And I only want to work with people in North America and Europe because of time zone issues. And I only want to talk to people who are senior in their companies. And I only want to talk to people who are not competitors of mine, and so on. So you can see as we move forward in this table, it filters more and more people. So on the left, we have a full list with thousands of leads because they come in every time somebody engages with me on LinkedIn. And on the right, there's very few that only fit my ICP perfectly. And for each and every one of them, it creates a personalized message based on everything that I know about them, their role, their company, and how they engage with me to start a real conversation only with relevant people. This is the best salesperson you can imagine, just working 24/7 for almost free. The next tool is personalized content, the next use case. So we talked about this in the videos, but you can use this in anything. You can personalize your emails, your videos, your landing pages, your proposals, your holiday greetings, your HR information to different departments and different people in different seniority. You can do all of that with AI, give it an input, explain what are the differences, and it gives you a personalized output that obviously will drive better results. And then the last one is the cure for trade show blues. This is one of my favorite things. I've been doing this for about a year and a half now. One of the biggest problems that we have in trade shows is that we never remember all the people we met. We come back to the office after 5 days, we're exhausted, our knees hurt, our back hurts, and we have 163 business cards, but we remember 12. And the reason we went to the trade show is to connect with people. So what I do right now is as I finish meeting with a person, I open the ChatGPT app. There's a camera button in the app. I take a picture of the business card, and then I click the microphone button, and I explain everything there is about this person. What we talked about, what needs to be the follow-up, what are the key points that he wants to know, and that's it. And ask ChatGPT not to do anything with it at that point. And in the evening, I have a prompt that is saved in my prompt library that turns all of this into a CSV file with the details of every single person. So it basically scans information from the business cards, and it turns it into a summary of what we need to talk about. And it even adds in the final column a suggested draft initial email as a follow-up to the trade show. And then it's a CSV file. All I have to do is upload it to my CRM, and I've got an amazing starting point to the follow-up to the trade show. That's it. I'm a little late. It didn't take 25 minutes. It took a little longer, but that was not bad. But I have a bonus thing for you. And then we're also going to talk about tools and other stuff. But the bonus one is stuff I do with my kids. And you want to teach your kids how to use AI, and you want to teach them how to use it ethically and what you can do with it. So I play with my kids, and they write themselves bedtime stories that they can read afterwards in their favorite style about their favorite characters. It helps them with research for their homework. With my little son, he loves comics, so we create comics. We use Claude to write the outline of what the comics is going to be about, and then we're using different tools to create the actual images for the comics. It helps them with their homework. My daughter now is about to go to college. She does math in level that I never learned and definitely don't remember when I was in high school. So we literally turn on the video camera on ChatGPT and ask it to show us how to solve these things, way more useful than browsing through YouTube videos, and we'll show you step by step how to solve this specific thing. We use it in a similar way to prep for tests. So here are the questions that I have. Make 10 more questions for me in a similar style, in the same level, so I can prep for my test. We use it for cooking, so we get cooking ideas, and then it helps us in the actual cooking process on how to do different things. And we just came back from traveling in Mexico, and we used ChatGPT to translate in voice back and forth for us in Spanish on things that we couldn't do. So there's an endless things that you can do with your kids to get them to learn with you. Okay, deep breath. Before we jump into tools, and we're going to jump into all the tools that I use to do all this magical thing in a second, I want to give you a few additional notes, and then we'll open it to Q&A afterwards. But stay with me for a second, and we'll get to tools and Q&A. We talked a lot about the what. Like, I literally give you a list of 25, or actually a lot more than 25 things of what you can do with AI. The biggest question is not just what, but how do you actually implement all these use cases in your company? And that leads me to ask the question that is my favorite question to ask, is what is the number one factor for successful AI implementation? And the reality is, it is not IT resources, it is not budget, it is not having the right CTO, it is not proprietary data, it is not all these things. The number one factor, whether your AI implementation is going to be successful or not, is training and education of the team. And when I say training and education of the team, it is going to start with the people in the trenches, your front-end employee who actually do the work, but it's going to go to middle management, leadership, executive team, and the board. And each and every one of them needs a different training session because they will have different needs, but they all need to understand how AI can impact the business either strategically or in the technical, tactical things of the day-to-day. And that training and education can come in multiple shapes and forms. Myself, specifically, I teach two types of training sessions. One of them is an AI course that I've been teaching since April of 2023. It's called the AI Business Transformation Course. Hundreds of businesses have been transformed with AI based on what they've learned in the course. I'm teaching it at least once a month, sometimes 2 times a month. Most of these courses are private, meaning companies bring me to teach it to their people, or organizations bring me to teach it to their people. But about once a quarter, when we have bandwidth to support it, we do a public session. The last public session ended up at the beginning of November, and the next one is actually opening in a few weeks. In February, there's going to be another session opening that you can sign up to. We're going to share the link in the show notes, and we're going to share the link in the chat right now. The course is 4 weeks, 2 hours every week on a Monday at noon Eastern, and it takes 8 hours, and it's going to take you through everything from concepts to hands-on use cases like the stuff we just reviewed, but actually how to do this, and you will experiment yourself. And it's also going to provide you, in the end, in the final session, a detailed blueprint, a checklist on how to actually implement this in a business-wide perspective, so your entire business can benefit from AI and start moving forward. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. Because you're here on this live session, and there's a lot of people here, both on LinkedIn and on the Zoom, you can sign up using the promo code leveraging AI. You can get $100 off the course. I will say something. If you haven't done any proper AI training yet, do it. It doesn't have to be with me, but make sure you and your team and your company go through some kind of training early in 2025, because it's not nice to have anymore. It's a real necessity. You either can generate significant value and run faster than your competition, or at least don't allow them to have an unfair advantage over you. So find a way to do this, set it up. The other type of things that we teach is AI workshops that are custom tailored to specific companies. And these could be anything from half a day to 2 to 3 days. And over there, if it's a longer one, like a 2-day or a 3-day engagement, that we also include a hackathon where we actually develop functional solutions for the business using AI after a day and a half of training. And the people in the company are the ones that are developing it. So it creates an amazing momentum and immediate ROI on the investment in this kind of training. So if that's something you're interested in, just find me on LinkedIn and ask me about it. I'll gladly give you all the details. That being said, let's jump into tools. So which AI tools do we use at Multiply on a regular basis to do different things? I will start with automation tools because I use a lot of automation stuff, and automation just works very well together with AI because we had automation tools for for years, like since I think I'm using Zapier since 2014. So these tools have been around, but now with AI, they become a lot smarter and they just can do a lot more stuff than you could have done before. So I use Hunch, which I showed you before. Hunch is this amazing canvas where you can interconnect multiple AI tools as well as other data sources in order to create these magical outcomes like the ones that I showed you. I already have several different use cases over there that are running regularly and enable me to do things that used to take me weeks. And then with AI, started taking me hours. And now with Hunch, takes me minutes. Other tools are obviously Zapier and Make and NA10 and Clay. Zapier, Make are the same. I usually say that Zapier has more capabilities, but Make is easier to use. NA10 is a geekier open source version of it that is 100% free if you host it on your servers. So if you're doing a lot of automation and you have somebody technical in your team, I would highly recommend using NA10. You need to know what you're doing. So it's not as user-friendly as Zapier or Make, but if you have somebody who's a little more technical, you can build endless automations for free, which is not the case for Zapier and Make. And then Clay is a great tool to get information about people or companies, enhance that information, and generate output, just like I showed you with the lead generation that we're doing. For image generation, there are multiple tools. My 4 or 5 ones that I go to the most is Midjourney is probably my favorite one. I use Flux a lot. Flux is just free, and Midjourney costs money, and they both generate similar results, but Midjourney gives you more tools around it that Flux doesn't have. So that's why I still go to Midjourney for most of what I do. You can create images in Canva that uses Leonardo that was actually bought by Canva. And another tool that I use a lot is Ideogram. Ideogram is still the best one out of all of them in creating text. So these tools are not very good at creating text. And Ideogram is very good at creating text in the images. And I use ChatGPT still, even though its image generation is not to par with the other ones, but it understands the context. And so when I want to create images that are relevant to a PowerPoint presentation or anything else that has to do with the conversation that I'm having, ChatGPT is a great place to start. Video generation. So the 2 main tools that are probably used when it comes to video generation, one is HeyGen, which creates these avatars with either of me or of other people, and they can speak any language, and you can create really great videos about anything you want in your business, either for internal training or external, in minutes just by typing, and it even is connected with ChatGPT, so it can write the script on its own. You don't even have to write the script. The other one is Runway for video generation, but to generate videos, you can also use Minimax, and you can use Sora, and you can use Synthesia, and you can use Luma, and you can use Veo and Kling, and they keep on running. So it will be pointless for me to tell you which one is best, because by the time this podcast gets released or you listen to it, it might be different. As of right now, the time where we're recording this, the most capable tool from a video output perspective is Veo. Now, I'll say something. All of these have issues, and they're shorter videos, and they're still morphing every now and then, but they're getting really good. And even if you have to render something 20 times to get the output you want, that's still significantly faster and significantly cheaper than actually shooting that video. So instead of complaining, just run it 20 times, get the one that looks great, and use that in whatever you need. Video editing, I use Descript for all my video editing. It's an incredible tool that allows you to take video content, transcribe it, and then edit the quote-unquote Word document, and that edits the video, and you can add overlay and apply templates and everything like that. And for all my meeting recordings, as I said, I use Fathom. It records, transcribes, and summarizes all my meetings across all the different platforms. So whether I'm on Zoom or Teams or Google Meet or anything else, it knows how to do that. Large language models, I'm using mostly ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. I also use Hunch a lot because Hunch allows me to connect all the different models together, so I can prompt one and see all of them together. And I also use OpenRouter which is an API tool, a little more geeky, but it allows me to bring the API of all the different language models, including open source ones, into any tool that I want. As I mentioned, I use this mostly within Google Sheets because then I can analyze data in Google Sheets using a variety of models where I can optimize for quality and for price. And then the last is for research. As I mentioned, I use mostly Perplexity and U.com. And the other two tools that I also use is Google Deep Research that comes with a paid version, and Notebook LM, which I use all the time. Every time I see an article that is long and I'm not sure if it's exactly what I want, I drop it into Notebook LM, I turn it into a podcast, and then the next time I'm driving or walking the dog, I go and listen to that, and then I can decide if I want to read the full article or not. It's just another way for me to consume content and summarize content. That is it. I know that was a lot. And I already see that we have a bunch of questions. So I'm going to start answering those. But if you have additional questions, feel free to write them in the chat right now. So question number one was, Notebook LM, the podcast is only possible in English language. Great question. I do not know the answer. I think that is correct. By the way, another cool thing that Notebook LM has for the past month or so is they have a beta option to actually pause the conversation and ask questions. So you can engage with those podcast hosts. So you can click a button and actually ask the question with your voice, and then go to pause the thing that we're talking about and give an answer based on the information that you gave them. It's absolute magic. The second question was, what was the GPT that created your LinkedIn carousel based on a transcript? It's a GPT that we created. I'm sure there's a gazillion out there as well. I can probably finesse this GPT and open it to the public. So if you reach out to me, whoever asked for that, reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask for that, and I can probably share the link with you for our GPT. What it creates, it actually creates a CSV file, and that CSV file can then be uploaded straight into Canva. And then in Canva, we have a very good starting point. And then all we have to do is just change the colors and apply our skin on top of it, like our template, and bring in images. So the overall process beginning to end takes us, 20 minutes to build a carousel instead of 2 hours. Third question, is the Hook GPT your own, or is it open to everybody? That's my own. The way we've done this is we've done a research online for different hook styles, and we found like 130 different types of hooks, so different structures of sentences. And then we built a GPT around it. And then what the GPT does is it actually reads the content that we give it, and then it figures out which of the 130 different hooks will probably work best for that particular hook. And then it gives you the structure that he picked, as well as the recommendation for that. In many cases, I either use it as is, but in some cases, I will just use it as inspiration, or I will combine segments of the different examples that it gave me, but I use it for every single piece of content that I create. Question 4, what would you use for an internal chatbot for company internal stuff? So it's a very broad question because it really depends on what kind of data you have, how much data do you have, where is it stored, do you want to have different chatbots for different departments, and so on. The easiest way to start is to use a custom GPT or a Gemini Gem or a Claude project, because these come with your existing license. They don't require any additional skills, and you can literally just upload usually enough data to them to build these things. If you want to make it into an actual chatbot that doesn't live within ChatGPT, you can build an assistant in ChatGPT. It's almost the same exact interface as building a GPT, but on their studio side. And then you can use the API and give it a front end. And again, the front end can be as simple as a chat interface that ChatGPT itself can write the code for you to do. And then you can place it anywhere you want. I see a comment on LinkedIn from Stan Robinson saying Isar's AI business transformation course is excellent, covers both strategy and tactics. Deep dive. Thank you, Stan. Stan was one of very many people, and he's also a regular joiner of AI Friday Hangout. So those of you who don't know, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, there's a group of people that come together and talk about what they've learned this week about AI, use cases, tools like the stuff we've done today, but we deep dive into specific things that just people bring up. So if you want to join it, it's completely free to the public. There's going to be a link in the show notes on how to join all of our events and the Friday Hangouts. Next question, number 5. Is there a doc with a link to the 25 tools? So this will come out as part of the podcast. When the podcast comes out, the YouTube will also come out, and then you can have access to all of this. How do you address typical barriers, frictions of AI adoption among your learners? That's a great question. I think it very much depends. And I don't know, John, if you mean this on an individual level or on a company level. So if you can reply to that quickly, I can respond to that. But in general, there are many different ways to drive AI adoption. Part of it is to just talk about it and celebrate wins. So if the leaders of the company will every all hands talk about, hey, look what so-and-so did this week. Look at what we achieved. That by itself drives adoption. The other thing is to gamify it. Give people prizes in your company to do more with AI. Define the right guardrails and the right limitations for that. But if you gamify it and say, okay, whoever builds the most useful or the coolest AI use case this month gets 4 tickets to this show to take his wife and friends and go and do that, or whatever you want to, whatever one you want to gamify it. So celebrate wins, encourage usage by showing examples of what people are achieving, do a lot of training. So help people feel comfortable with using the tools. All of these things are things that are really helpful to get people to work with AI tools. Another question, what about the data security with NA10 and all the other tools? No, this is a typical German question. Okay, so first of all, NA10 can run on your servers. So you can host NA10 on a server that you own, which means the data doesn't go anywhere. It actually runs locally. You install a version of it on your servers, and then the data doesn't go anywhere. The other tools, I guess you just have to trust, and you got to define what data you're allowed to go in there, what data you don't allow to go in them. And that's part of a setup that you have to do in your company and the training that you do in your company. I will say my approach to this, which is relevant just to me. I think that if there was a data breach in Zapier or Make, a lot of the internet would break down right now, because there's most marketing organizations in the world, big and small, are using them for a lot of stuff, and not just marketing organizations. So I think they're relatively secure. Now, that being said, there are companies that have more secure, more sensitive data. So you got to figure out the right IT configuration to do this. But NA10 is actually a good example because it's an open source that can run on your servers. Next question, what AI conferences do you recommend for 2025? Wow. I don't know if I can answer that on the fly. I've got a bunch that I'm speaking on and a bunch that I'm attending, but I don't remember off the top of my head. So I apologize about that one. Question from LinkedIn, a very basic question. How can I not have all the saved GPTs coming as first on the sidebar? Instead, I would like to see the projects. Ooh, I wish there was a way to do that. No, so that's the way ChatGPT is, right? So the user interface is that the GPTs come first, and then the projects, and then the chats. I guess that's just the interface that they've built. I don't think there's a way to control that. One more question came in. Okay, Danielle, thank you. What do you recommend for businesses needed website upgrades or new websites to meeting current SEO standards? That's the trillion-dollar question. I think nobody knows where SEO is going and how it's going to look like. I think it's very obvious to anybody in this field that most of the visitors to our website sometime in the future are going to be agents and not human, which means we will need websites that know how to talk to agents. And in the transition period between now and then, we will need to have websites that know how to talk to agents in the back end and also know how to cater to people. How is that going to be done? Nobody knows. What will SEO looks like in this world? Nobody knows either. And so I think that's a problem that we'll all have to figure out as things evolve. I can say one thing that will be helpful maybe is you can go to Google, you can go to Perplexity, you can go to u.com and ask a question about a topic that your website currently ranks for and see what is ranking. Meaning you can maybe not understand what's happening in the background, but you can see what gets served as part of the answers in Perplexity, as an example. And then you can reverse engineer that to potentially what content you need to create in order to show up on Perplexity or any of the other tools as well. How long will that last and how relevant will that be 3 years from now? I can't really tell you, and I think nobody can tell you. So Elsa wrote that geo, we're now having to consider that too. Yes, absolutely. Again, that's this whole point in what kind of answers will these tools serve instead of just traditional search. I think it's very obvious to everybody that's where it is going. I just don't think anybody really knows what this means, and it's a continuously moving target that we just have to monitor as business owners and content creators to figure this out. Great session. Thanks everybody who joined us both on LinkedIn and on Zoom. I really appreciate the question that everybody asked, and have an amazing 2025. Remember that training yourself and training your team and your company is literally the most important thing when it comes to AI implementation, way more than IT solutions, way more than picking the right tools, way more than IT infrastructure, way more than hiring the right consultants. It comes to you and the people around you understanding how these tools work, understanding how to implement them, understanding how to build your business strategy to be aligned with a world with AI that might be very different than your current business strategy, because your clients will have different needs. And to do that, you just need to find somebody, either me or somebody like me, that can deliver this kind of training that is relevant for your industry, for your needs, for your company, so you can start 2025 with the right foot forward and hopefully grow dramatically because you have these skills as the year evolves. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome 2025. Come join us for these live sessions every week. Come join our Friday AI Hangouts. And again, thank you so much for spending this time with me.